Hey everybody, welcome to Beaming Notes, and today we're going to look at the critical analysis, theme, tone, and poetic devices of the poem The Dolphins by Carol Ann Duffy. Critical analysis. The Dolphins is a dramatic monologue written by Carol Ann Duffy from the perspective of a dolphin who has lost the freedom it enjoyed in the ocean and is now trapped in an artificial swimming pool. This poem brings into limelight the emotions and sufferings of a dolphin subjected to confinement. A sense of enslavement and lack of freedom pervades the entire poem. Even though dolphins are known as the befriender of human beings in trouble at the sea, it is ironic how human beings are responsible for the misery. Even though the poem begins with positive words like swim and dance, it is immediately contrasted to their present state of being enslavement by the line, "We are not free." The poem begins by the dolphin speaking in second person, which immediately establishes a sense of affinity between the dolphin and the readers. The rest of the poem is in first person plural, which transports the readers into the world of dolphins. The dolphin remembers its carefree days in the ocean and contrasts it with present life of monotony and despair. Although they are living in their element, that is water, they are still experiencing restrictions and boundaries. They are now restricted to a limited space in a small pool where they cannot swim or dance but only mourn. They are constantly controlled and dominated by the man in authority. The dolphins cannot dream anymore. The water is too shallow for them, and they are just reduced to a status of puppets governed by human beings. The dolphin feels sympathetic towards its companion, whose shape, restricted movements, and thoughts resemble its own. The amount of despair and gloominess in the dolphin's life is expressed through a number of contrasts and images. The dolphins, even after being sentient in nature, are unable to unravel any truth in their artificial world. It doesn't offer them new experiences. The limits of the pool establish a sense of imposed limitations on the dolphin's life, who has to perform on commands. They feel that they are not blessed in this new world of dullness and monotony and seek compassion and empathy in each other's sufferings. The dolphin's companion is aware of their state of misery and tries to reduce their pain by sticking together through thick and thin. The only source of joy in their lives is when they think about their memories in the sea. The poem also brings forward the cruelty of human beings towards animals. It shows how man, being superior in nature, denies the minimal level of freedom and happiness to the animals in the world. They constantly use them for their own profits. Human beings have commercialized dolphins by snatching away their natural habitat for their own benefits. The sense of loss and regret is intensified in the line, "We see our silver skin flash by like memory of somewhere else." The previous world of passion, joy, and excitement seems to belong somewhere else now. The poem ends on a note of hopelessness and darkness. The dolphins seem to live in a world where moon is replaced by a colored ball and freedom by man's commands. The natural regulator of tides seems to have been replaced by the man-made objects. Their life has become tedious and unexciting, and they keep on circling the grooves of water on single note. Their lives have reduced to a single note. Carol Ann Duffy aims at criticizing speciesism as a form of oppression by human beings as a species of privilege over other animals. It enunciates the plight of dolphins imprisoned in a confined pool. The poet has used repetition, contrast, and imagery of loss to create pathos for the imprisoned dolphins. There's no definite rhyme scheme in the poem. The broken pattern may be taken as a representation of the brokenness in the dolphin's mind and soul. The juxtaposition of simplicity and ambiguity in the poem enhances the reader's interest in the poem. Carol uses a number of poetic devices to intensify the feeling of sorrow and monotony in the poem, some of which are metaphor, simile, alliteration, and more. By giving the voice to a dolphin, Carol Ann Duffy has attempted to portray the injustice done by men to the mammals and animals. The theme of loss, nostalgia, oppression, human cruelty, and dislocation is beautifully expressed in the poem. Poetic Devices. Simile. It's a figure of speech in which a likeness between two different things is stated explicitly, using the words like or as. An instance of simile in the poem is, "We see her silver skin flash by like memory." Metaphor. Metaphor is a figure of speech in which a comparison between two different things is implied but not explicitly stated. We can see an instance of metaphor in the line, "We circle well-worn grooves of water on a single knot." In this context, the dolphins go around the pool in the same monotonous circle, following the movement of water. The single note can be compared to the whistle of the man. The single note can be taken to represent the monotonous life of the dolphin that has no music or excitement anymore. Alliteration. The close repetition of consonant sounds, usually at the beginning of the words, is known as alliteration. Instances of alliteration in this poem can be seen in the following lines. "World is what you swim in, will not deepen to dream in. We circle well-worn grooves." Enjambment. Enjambment refers to the continuation of a sentence to the next without any pause in between. Examples of enjambment in the poem are, "The other has my shape, the other's movement forms my thoughts and also mine. There is a man and there are hoops, there is a constant flowing guilt." Repetition. Repetition is a purposeful use of words and phrases again and again to create a smooth flow and to emphasize on the idea. Repetition has been used in the poem to reinforce the idea of loss of freedom and drab existence of the dolphins in the artificial pool. Some examples of repetition in the poem are, "We were blessed and now we are not blessed, and now we are no longer blessed. The other has my shape, the other's movement, the other knows, and out of love reflects me for myself." Theme. Loss of freedom. The theme of confinement and loss of freedom is one of the main themes of the poem. Throughout the poem, there is a consistent tone of enslavement and imprisonment of the dolphins by human beings. The dolphins are aware that they have been forcefully captured in an artificial habitat that is in no way as pleasant and exciting as their natural habitat. The dolphin remembers its carefree and jovial life in the ocean and contrasts it with its present life of trapped existence from where there is no escape. The poem begins on a positive note. The words like swim and dance convey a sense of joy and freedom. But this sense of happiness is immediately overpowered by the present state of boredom and captivation, as they say, "We are in our element, but we are not free." Even though they are in their element, that is water, they are made to live a restricted life in a limited space in an artificial pool. They are constantly controlled and regulated by a man who, being superior to them, uses them for entertainment and tricks. The superficial habitat fails to offer them new experiences. The dolphins feel that the shallow waters are not even capable of letting them dream. It does not offer them any kind of happiness and freedom. They feel that they were extremely blessed when they were living their life under no restrictions in the ocean, but now they are not blessed anymore as they have to live a confined life in a confined pool. Their movements are restricted by the limited space they live in. They recollect their memories in the sea. They remember the times when they were free and liberated, when the rays of the sun used to fall on their skin and make them appear silvery. But all these seems like mere memories of a distant past, somewhere else. Their natural and free life seems to belong somewhere else now. The dolphins seem to live a dark, bleak, and oppressed life where even the moon seems to have disappeared. The moon has been replaced by a man-made colored ball and plastic toy with which they have to perform their tricks. They're constantly under supervision and authority. They have to obey the commands of their masters. The dolphin is somehow aware that there is no escape from this dead, dull environment and that they are eventually going to die here. They live an utmost depressing life away from their home in a world of artifice and cruelty. Human cruelty. The theme of confinement in the poem is complemented by the theme of human cruelty. The theme of human greed and oppression is evident in the misery and suffering in the life of the dolphin, who has been abducted from its natural habitat and forced to live in an artificial, restricted environment. The dolphins bring forward the poet's sympathy for the helpless animals who are subjected to cruelty and brutality. The home of the dolphins has been snatched away from them. They are confined in a small pool and their movements are restricted. Man, for his own benefits and profits, makes the dolphins perform tricks against their wishes. They wish to go back to the ocean where they used to live a free life with no limitations and no commands. But now they are forced by men to perform tricks with hoops and balance-colored balls. Their lives are under the control of human beings who exploit them for monetary purposes. They have to follow the commands of their master irrespective of how much they suffer. Men trap and transport the dolphins from their home and abuse them for selfish reasons. They are isolated and depressed at their present life of enslavement. The poet, thus, attempts to reveal the sufferings and pains of the animals who are subjected to such abuses. Tone. The tone of the poem is predominantly sympathetic and upsetting, which serves to complement the theme of the poem, the theme of oppression. The dolphins are forcefully trapped in a limited and unnatural habitat and are made to live a life of imprisonment. They were aware that their lives have become hopeless and monotonous and there is no escape from it. The tone of the poem emphasizes the lack of freedom and constant misery and control they live in. Their movements are restricted and all they can do is yearn for the joyful days in the sea, where they could enjoy themselves freely without any restrictions. The depressing tone of the poem is evident in the lines, "We are not free, there is no hope, and our mind knows we will die here," and so on. The poem ends on a heavy and gloomy note as it reveals the dolphin's knowledge of its ultimate predicament.